there is a series of this webinar that we are going to conduct. So this is starting with the first webinar. The second webinar is going to be very much focused on live demonstrations of exercise, meditation, and whatever we are going to share with you in webinar are going to be practical tips. We are not going to talk to you about something that is written or something that you have heard or something you have read on the internet. This is coming from a profound experience of 20 years of work with Parkinson disease patients. So you would be hearing and seeing it right from the people who have been actually looking after these patients. So you would get practical ideas about how to cope with this disease. And the last webinar is going to be basically focused more on the third webinar is going to be a motivational webinar where we would hear real life stories from patients themselves who have actually mastered or conquered over Parkinson disease. That would be very inspiring stories, and it will motivate everybody here, including the people who are involved in the care of Parkinson disease patient. And the last webinar is going to be a state-of-the-art update on the current medical and surgical management of Parkinson disease and post-surgical management of Parkinson disease. So this will be 4 webinars. Every Saturday we will be meeting at 7:15. So block your diary and calendar, and we should be able to do that. We should be able to go live in a couple of minutes. And then once again, I will repeat some of these announcements and then we can go. So anyone who wants to ask questions can put there, and all your comments are also most welcome. So please do not hesitate to pass on your comments or remarks so that if there is anything that we require to change or improve, that can be done so that the community can benefit at large. Okay, good evening, everybody. It is 7:15 p.m. and I welcome you all to this webinar on patients for Parkinson disease and caretakers. As you can see, the title of the webinar is Empowering Patients of Parkinson's Disease. We want to ensure that once you have got the disease should not overcome you. You should be able to overcome the disease. And that is what we have seen in all the patients or people who have interacted with us, that with proper guidance and proper instructions, most of the time, you should be able to conquer over the minor disabilities this disease offers. As I initially said few minutes back, we would be having series of 4 webinars, and you have been sent all that information already. Otherwise, you would also be receiving an email update with the list of the webinar, which is going to occur every Saturday at the same time, 7:15 p.m. Now, this webinar is brought to you jointly by the Parkinson Care Trust and Jaslok Hospital and Research Center from Mumbai. Both the organizations are in Mumbai. And today's webinar will mainly focus on improving the quality of life of Parkinson disease patients. That lecture is going to be delivered by Ms. Bharti Karkera. She has been working with Parkinson's disease patients for more than 22 years, and it has been her first hand experience in taking personal care of these patients who get admitted at Jaslok Hospital either for surgical or medical evaluation, and listening to them, because it is very important for us to listen to the patient, because that is what guides us the development of new therapy or improved therapies. So she will talk to you from her personal experience as to how a quality of life can be improved. The second important problem that we have always encountered in patients of Parkinson disease has been diet, and questions related to diet: what can be eaten, what cannot be eaten. And there are various issues. We have like frequent urination or constipation or nutrition. All those are very important in improving the quality of life of a patient, because without proper nutrition, proper diet, one cannot expect to fight the disease like Parkinson disease. So we have Miss Jyoti Bhatt. She is a excellent dietitian working again at the Jaslok Hospital and Research Center, and she's going to navigate through the do's and don'ts and various aspects of diet in Parkinson disease. The third aspect is going to be hobbies and Parkinson disease. We had a speaker who had to excuse herself, so I would be stepping in her shoes, and I will be myself talking. I'm Dr. Paresh Doshi. I'm the director of neurosurgery at Jaslok Hospital, and I shall be stepping in the shoes, and I will give a small talk on hobbies and Parkinson disease. And then we will try to answer all the questions. Try to ask general questions related to this particular webinar. Don't ask medical questions, because we would have a medical talk at the end of the fourth webinar. We can ask the medical questions there. So whatever questions you have about this, you can come up with that and post it here. And as I said, you can also post your comments. We will be flashing the link for you to become the member of Parkinson Care Trust. So note down when we flash that link, and just fill up a small form and submit, which would help you to get a lot of information about the future work and change in the treatment plan. Over to you, Ms. Bharti Karkera.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Ms. Bharti Karkera, working with Dr. Paresh Doshi, sir. And today I'm going to talk on tips to improve quality of life for Parkinson's disease patient. So here, next. So here you can see the video with Parkinson's patient having motor symptoms with his challenges facing day-to-day activities. His body movements are very slow. He has a tremors. For the coordination of his body movements, they are very slow. His body is very stiff. He has a difficulty in drinking of water because of the tremors. Because of slow movements and rigid body, he has difficulty in getting up from the chair and difficulty to maintain his balance as well, walking difficulty, freezing of gait. And these are the real challenges for all my Parkinson's patients. Next. So the same, what you have seen in that video, the same challenges faced day-to-day life, like tremors, slowness of movements, rigid body, imbalance. While walking, they have a freezing gait. They feel like they are going to fall while walking. These are really the embarrassing for Parkinson's patient. Next. So there are other challenges as well. The anxiety, mood swings, depression, these are the part of the Parkinson's disease itself due to lack of dopamine and because of immobility of the body and independency, lack of independency, they go into depression and they are totally isolated to avoid public crowd. When they go for the social activities, their social life, their professional life, their personal life has been disturbed. In office, they have a severe body pain with the spasms and all. It's so too much discomfort for them in off-phase period. Off-phase period means when they have without medicine effect. Slow thinking and difficulty in swallowing and chewing is the real difficult task for all Parkinson's patients. Difficulty in speech, yes, it's embarrassing for them to because they have slurring of speech or with a low volume. They're not the opposite person cannot understand what they're trying to speak. So it is really difficult task for them. difficulty in writing, urinary problem and constipation. Also, it's a major issue for all Parkinson's patients. So especially as elderly patients, they have a frequent urination, going to the washroom, and because of that, they get disturbed sleep in the night. And difficulty in sleeping also is a major issue because whole night they have a discomfort of the body. Turning in the bed is a difficult task for them. Next. So today, let's share some tips to improve your day-to-day life and Parkinson's disease. Next. So try to manage your day-to-day activities in utilizing an on period for basic activities. What is on period? Means when you wake up in the morning, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you should take your Sindopa tablet, should be on an empty stomach. So wait for 15 to 20 minutes and then you get the kick for the day. And for example, you can get up from the bed, go into the washroom, because on empty stomach, its effect is fast and better absorption. Within 20 minutes time, you're independently can get up from the bed, go to the washroom, having shower, brushing your teeth, and having your breakfast, going for the out activities for morning walk, jogging, and some outdoor activities like going to the bank or going to the office. Next. So eating and drinking equipments also, they are available in the market because they are specially designed, especially for the spoon. For Parkinson patient, it's very difficult to have a normal way food because they spell off. They cannot hold the spoon to feed themselves. So with the modified spoon shape, they can easily, comfortably, they can feed by themselves. And there are available sips cups and glasses with the lids, which you can avoid spilling of water or liquid or tea or milk. And using straw also can help them to drink easily. There are non-slippery table mats which they can use it for their underneath utensils, because while serving food or sharing some food or something, the utensils may fall from the table. To avoid this, they can make a use of uh, underneath mat. Next. Now, walking assistant and safety measure at home as well as in the office is very important for Parkinson's patient. So you can see this video where the patient is climbing up chairs, but if you see at the sidebar, there are the hand grabs handles. With the support of that, easily she is able to climb up the staircase. It's so comfortable for us and it's very much safety. So that time you should make sure that your floors should be smooth and non-slippery, so they avoid to prevent the falls. There should be a proper light in your bedroom, on the staircase, at your home. The flooring also in the bedroom, there should be a smooth, easily walking comfortable for the patient. You make your surrounding environment so pleasant that with the bright sunlight in your room, so you feel that inner feelings, you feel little happy to share some or involve with your activities like reading a books or something. So the chair should be stable on the floor, so having a hand rest, so easily they can take the help of armrest and sit on the chair. Even sitting on the chair also, there is a technique where you can just get the judgment of the chair handle with the help of the handle of the armchair, lean little forward and slowly sit down on the chair. With this technique, you can avoid your backward falls while sitting and you may get injured on your back. So even, yeah, next. Even in the washroom also, the adaptation is more important for their quality of life and safety measures for all Parkinson's patients. As soon as you enter in the washroom, you should have a sidebars to grab your hands. With the support of that, you can go to the washroom. where the sidebars should be safely, easily reach to the sidebars to using showers, brushing your teeth. When you're having this specific task or activities, the sitting arrangement should be made in the washroom, and especially the toilet seats with the support bars, with the seat should be elevated so that easily they can get the help of side arms and sit on the toilet comfortably, and easily they can get up with the support of the handle from the toilet, and with the help of sidebars they can manage to do their day-to-day activities in the washroom. These are very important. Even in the washroom also you should have a waterproof flooring with non-slippery tiles, so they can prevent or reduce the risk of surgery. Next, let's see this video. There is some modification and improvement technique to improve your walking steps. So when you walk, you should think that I should have a long step and walk, so that you can improve your balance, prevent falls, and easily you can walk comfortably without any risk. And you can see here the way he's sitting in the chair with the judgment of the chair, handling support and leaning forward and sitting down. Exactly this practice in day-to-day life, please, all the patients should practice, and it really helps to improve your walking to avoid falls. Next. Here also that mobility aid to manage your freezing of gait. The freezing of gait is also is very important and embarrassing for them to manage in a public crowd. So there you can have a proper aids. It's called laser stick. When you use that laser stick, you can easily have a आपके सामने एक रेड लाइन आ जाएगी, लेजर लाइन ऐसे, उसको आपको पैर उठा के पैदल लॉन्ग स्टेप्स में फॉलो करना है, जिस वजह से ऑटोमेटिकली आपके पैर ऊपर उठा के आप स्टेप बाय स्टेप्स फॉलो करके दे यू कैन इम्प्रूव योर फ्रीजिंग ऑफ गेट. इवन दे हैव अ डिफिकल्टीज इन नैरो स्पेस वेयर they can just
all hands.
Yeah, please run the video. Please run the video. Here you can see with the help of stick, he can improve his freezing of gait. In a narrow space, even it's very difficult, they get stuck. So they can use these tips, so walking side by side, so they can manage to move around even in the narrow space. Here you can see how he's managing to walk side to side. So even if it's a narrow space, he's easily able to move around comfortable, and his problem is being solved. The same thing with walker also. With the walker, with the support, you can have a long steps while walking. So it really helps to manage your freezing of gait. Don't get embarrassed even you use these aids. It is more safety for you, and you have to solve your problems. So if you take some help to improve your quality of life, please be positive to use these aids. Next slide. Emergency alarm and monitors, because these patients, when they are good on and in a public crowd, when they come, even though it's good medicine effect, all of a sudden looking at the public, they become sudden off. That time they don't know what to do and all that. They become very anxious, anxiety, they go into depression. So someone has to manage with them. So one should have their ID card or contact point, contact numbers or some addresses. So easily someone can just help them to reach them to the proper house. So they can have a smartphone apps wireless doorbell. So easily it's available to operate for them, for the Parkinson's patient. So they can immediately get the help from the people.
फॉरवर्ड करने ही जम रहा है मेरे को
Yeah. Next.
नहीं है नेटवर्क फॉरवर्ड कर
Yeah. Take up your hobby to keep yourself busy. It is most important because every day you have a routine activities, so you should have some change in your life. So if your hobby is singing, you like singing, please go ahead with it. So you have some change your day to day's life, you can divert your mind, you can enjoy that hobbies. Singing se kya hota hai, you improve upon your speech, difficulty in swallowing. सो एक साथ में आपकी दो दो चीजें इंप्रूव होती है एंड दैट रियली हेल्प्स यू फॉर solve your problems. Dancing also, it's a very good hobby because with this stiffness of your body, slowness of your body, with the dancing you can have a proper body movements. You can improve upon balance, and rigid body becomes muscles and all becomes all more relaxed. So coordination of body also, it is more important. So it really helps for all your Parkinson's symptoms. And painting, if you're interested, our Parkinson's patient, there are many patients, they're having good hobbies and they're really working for all Parkinson's patients via support groups. So they have a painting with the fantastic paintings they do, even with the Parkinson's symptoms. So that is the way you have that motivation, their positive attitude, their positive thinking, and they gain their confidence to make this possible. So playing cards with the family members or friends, indoor games, whichever you like, table tennis, badminton, wherever you're comfortable and you enjoy, please do the hobbies. Craft, listening to the music से आपको आपकी एंजाइटी लेवल कम हो जाती है, आपका माइंड डाइवर्ट हो जाता है, साइकोलॉजिकली यू गेट पीस ऑफ माइंड. So what is there if you do these hobbies? Take a hobbies at least not every day, but at least 2-3 days in a week. It is also will make you some change in your life. Reading books. So whichever you books like it, just have a once in a week. Just go through it. So with a cup of tea. Next slide. Tips to improve daily life. अभी पार्किंसन पेशेंट रहते हैं, you all of you know there are many difficulties and tough acceptance of the disease, because it is not that easy to accept what you're going through, troubles and difficulties, but that is with you. You have to take a journey along with your Parkinson's. कैसे होगी? तो आप उसके नॉलेज ले लो, उसके बारे में सीखो कैसे ये करना है, और उसके साथ आपको जर्नी टू द लॉन्ग लाइफ जाना है. तो उसके वजह से आपकी जो भी दिक्कतें आती है, उसके टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स से यूज करके आपको उसके साथ जाना है लाइफ में. तो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल बढ़ने के लिए आपको उसके साथ एज अ फ्रेंड, एज अ फैमिली मेंबर सोच के ही you have to go along with your Parkinson's disease. Then it is very easy to coping with Parkinson's disease, fighting with Parkinson's disease. It is possible. You can have some different quality of life. Timely medication में क्या है? Whatever medicines, especially Syndopa tablet जो आप लेते हैं, it should be taken on empty stomach. And each dose you should have half an hour before meals and at least 1 hour after meals. So if you take it in this schedule, you can each dose you will get that benefits of the effective dose of the medicine. There is a healthy diet. Healthy diet is a well-balanced diet, includes high fiber foods, plenty of fluids and all. But here I'm not going to talk in details on the diet, because we are going to have a next session on the details of diet for the Parkinson's patient. But I would like to give some information about the fluids. For elderly patients, they should have at least 8 glasses of water throughout day, and towards evening after 7 p.m. they should restrict their fluid to avoid going to the frequently visit to the washroom. So with that, without the disturbance, they will be very comfortable and they can have a good quality of life. Again, exercise, yoga, meditation, therapies. There are different therapies like physiotherapy, speech therapies. uh, these all we are going to have a detailed sessions in next week and the next coming Saturday. So you will get details demo with all these therapies. Counsel sessions with it is very important for the patient. So the Parkinson's patient, when they're good on, they're independent. They don't need any help or anything. But yes, Parkinson's patients are so lucky. The people are around them. They're not alone. They're with their family members, their friends, their children, and they get good support to live them a good life and a quality of life. So that's why I said Parkinson's patients are really lucky to have people around them. So there are support groups for the Parkinson's disease where the all Parkinson's patient meets together. They share their experience, their feelings, and in that session they have physiotherapy, occupational therapies, music, dance therapy, speech therapies. So everyone is involved in that activities. That also it's a great help for all Parkinson's patients. Next. Yeah. So, as I told you about the hobby, here the patient is after surgery, which you have seen with the motor symptoms and fighting with the challenges of day to day activities. But believe me, he wanted to play guitars after surgery and singing. So, here you can see there is always a hope for all Parkinson's patients. So you have seen how happy he was because he wanted to play that guitar, because due to tremors he was not able to play that guitar, but after playing guitars he is very happy. So what I'm trying to tell you is all my Parkinson's patients, don't be, just give up everything, be positive, so you can enjoy your life and improve your quality of life. So we are there to help you. If you have any problem, we are always there to help you. So please try to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Karkara. That was a very illustrative talk, and I think there will be several questions. There have been actually several questions which I have continued to answer, and we will take more questions as they come up, and people can post their questions on the way. I think with that, we should move on to the second talk by Ms. Jyoti Bhatt, the dietitian at the Jaslok Hospital. And then I will share a small PowerPoint presentation about the activities of the Parkinson Care Trust. Yeah. You are muted, Jyoti. Yes.
Hello, can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, one and all. Myself, Jyoti Bhatt, senior dietitian at Jaslok Hospital. Today's topic is I'm going to talk on nutrition and importance in Parkinson disease. I'll just share my slide with you all. Hello.
Yes, please. You want me to?
Can yeah, please share my slide, please. Yeah. Thank you. Next. Next. Go to the fourth slide directly. Next one. Yeah. So we are going to talk why nutrition is so given special importance in Parkinson disease. So basically, Parkinson disease impacts many aspects of our health. So first of all, it starts by slowing gastrointestinal tract, causing constipation, slow stomach emptying, and swallowing problems are seen in Parkinson patients. There are few medications which also causes nausea, appetite loss into the patients, can also cause constipation to the patients. Next slide, please. So we will be focusing on some of the most common concerns. Some can become serious enough to require hospitalization. So first of all, I'm going to talk on what is the fluid needs for Parkinson patients. Then comes constipation, how to relieve it. Lastly is swallowing issues that is faced by Parkinson patients. Next slide. So why fluid is so important for human health? So basically, fluid or water is considered as an important nutrient that helps to dissolve all sort of vitamins and minerals throughout our body. It helps to lubricate our joints, helps removing toxins from our body, and many other functions are given up by the fluids to our body. The major things that fluid helps is to treat the urinary tract infections. It helps to treat dry mouth, cracked lips, dry eyes, dizziness, fatigue, difficulty in swallowing. These are all signs of dehydration. So whenever the person is not taking or eating properly, we can consider fluid as the minimal energy support. So what are the options that can help to give energy, protein to the patients through fluids? Can we go to the next slide? So now there are many options of fluid available that can give you good amount of calories and proteins. So first of all is vegetable soups or chicken soups or vegetable broth or chicken broth. With grated cheese, or you can grate paneer or tofu. This helps to add on to the calories and to the proteins throughout the day. Then comes coconut water. It provides a good amount of electrolyte like potassium. Then comes ORS, which is again an electrolyte powder. It helps us to give a balanced in electrolytes like sodium and potassium in our body. You can try juices or smoothies. Smoothies are better than the juices because juices will give you empty calories, but smoothies will surely, if you add Greek yogurt or any yogurt available in the market, which will add on to the calorie and protein to the patients. Then comes lime water. You can use throughout the day. Again, it helps to replenish our body's energy. And lastly, ice cubes or fruit ice cubes can be used. This helps to form saliva and it helps in easy swallowing of the food. Can we go to the next slide? So now in Parkinson disease, at times patients we don't understand how much water we have drank throughout the day. Keeping a fluid record, like water record throughout the day, is very important. So this is the water tracker table that can be used at home. Like against every day, you can make drops, or you can circle like at least 8 glasses of water, which is the total aim for the entire day, has to be achieved by the Parkinson patients. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, the second thing is constipation. Many patients do suffer from constipation is because of medications. It causes chronic constipations to few patients. So there are many other common causes than medications is less of water, less of physical activity, a lot more of stress, and a lot more of use of laxatives also can cause constipation to the patient. And an unhealthy diet is again one of the reasons for constipation. So I'll tell you how to treat constipation. So first of all, what you all need to is to start with a balanced diet, a healthy diet. Secondly, choose food which is high in fibers, which is high in protein, which is high in calories, which gives Fiber gives bulk to the stool, so it will help to pass it properly. Then drinking lots of water will help throughout the day, like at least 8 glasses of water. That comes approximately 2 liters to 2.5 liters per day is important. And include lots of physical activity, as told by previous speaker. You can include whatever activity that you like in your daily routine, like jogging, yoga. You can include in your daily routine. Can we change the slide? The third comes swallowing issue. So how do we know that we have a swallowing problem? So yeah, few things that you can understand you have swallowing problems, like if we have lost weight without trying, if we are not able to drink liquids, we tend to drool. There is notice of food collecting around the gum line. We tend to cough or choke before or during after eating or after drinking. Sometimes there is heartburn, or sometimes there is sore throat, or at times where it is difficult to keep food or liquid in our mouth. So these are the few things that can say that there is some swallowing issue problem happening with us. Can we go to this next slide? So how do we treat this chewing and swallowing issues? So first of all, it's like we should eat slowly. Secondly, we can cut our food into small, fine, soft pieces and chew it thoroughly. Don't try to eat more than half teaspoon at a time. Give it a time, eat slowly, very slowly. If a food and a liquid catches through your throat, you can cough gently, clear your throat, and swallow again before you take a breath. Do it over if you need it to. Concentrate on your swallowing properly so that you do not choke much, and while eating, have enough of fluids so that it's easy to swallow it. Can we change this slide? Now, every once in a while, we can suck on ice pops or ice chips or lemon ice or lemon flavored water. This helps to add to our saliva. This increases the saliva formation in our mouth. That will help you to swallow more often. Now, if there is a chewing issue or chewing difficulty, or there is somebody who is tired chewing, so what we can do is like we can cut back on or stop eating foods you have to chew, or eat more of soft things like a soft paneer, a stewed apple, or a banana or something like that. We can opt for a pureed food, like we can puree the entire food into the blender, like we can use pureed khichdi, we can use pureed vegetable, we can use pureed dal if you're not able to chew it properly or swallow it properly. If the liquids that you're taking and it is causing you cough and it is little thin, so you can use a thickening. This again, you thickening liquid thickeners, or you can use a thick liquids like nectars instead of juices, or cream soups instead of plain broths. So these are the few tips that you can do it to chew it properly and swallow properly. Can we change it? Next slide. Now, what are the possible causes of poor appetite we have seen in patients? The first one is, most of them we don't recognize what food it is. They have poor fitting dentures due to age issues. Medications are one of it. Not enough exercise, decreased sense of smell and taste are of the few causes of poor appetite. Next slide. So now I'm going to talk on how to maintain a balanced diet throughout the day. So basically, what is balanced diet? A balanced diet is a diet wherein we include all the 5 food groups, that is carbohydrate, protein, fats, and water. This all things are included together, and it plays a very key role in maintaining a good health and keep our body in optimum condition. So here what you can see is a food plate where our food should have 10% of fats, 25% of protein, 40% should come from fruits and vegetables, and 25% should come from carbohydrates. I'll explain you what comes under fat, what comes under protein, what comes under carbohydrate and vegetables. Next slide. For a daily menu, if the daily menu is based on this whole grains, there's plenty of vegetables, fruits, and calcium, we can reach this food pyramid properly. There's a food pyramid which shows how much of servings of each cereals, each fruits, each vegetables, each fats and everything can be taken. Next slide, please. The per day serving for fat and oil is 4 teaspoon oil per day. The cereals, which includes bread, dal, which includes rice, jawar, bajra, everything is 4 to 6 servings per day. Then comes calcium servings, that is around milk and milk products you can include is around 2 to 3 servings per day. Vegetables is 3 to 5 servings, which is very important. These are the best source of fibers. So you and vitamins and minerals that we get. So you could include 3 to 5 servings of it. Fruits, again, 2 servings is enough. But if at times, if patients are not able to eat, we can increase it to 4 servings per day. Then comes protein from non-vegetarian. It is 2 servings is enough, like 1 egg per day is okay. So we can also increase it to 3 servings if the patient requires more amount of protein. Can we change the slide? Yeah. Complete that slide, please. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to talk on nutritional tips. This is the general tips that is to be kept in mind while we plan our diet. It's like we should have a balance that, as I told, it should be including of carbohydrate like 25%, 25% from protein, fat ka 10%. So accordingly, our diet should be maintained. We should limit foods with high saturated fat and cholesterols. That is like we should avoid fried foods and everything. We should cut down on refined sugars. We can natural sugars like honey, jaggeries are fine. Limit food with high sodium and use less salt. Like any food which is baked from a bakery is high in sodium, it's high in salt. So it's okay to be, you can avoid it. Drink plenty of water. As I told, we should always have aim of 8 glass per day. That is 2 to 3 liters per day. Oil intake, as I said, 4 teaspoon per day. And exercise as according to your wish and according to your condition, at least 25 minutes. You can include walking, jogging, yoga, many other things, whatever you can do it. Can you change this slide? Now I will talk on nutrition tips for restricted diet. This will include the few diets like diabetes and renal. Patients who have diabetes and renal, what they can eat and what they cannot eat. Now, I'll start with each food groups. The first one is cereal. In cereal, you can eat everything like wheat, dalia, rava, bajra, nachni, oats, jawar, barley. But mainly you should avoid maida and all the products made from it, like bread, khari, toast, butter. If the patient is diabetic, should always restrict on rice and corn. So this things has to be kept in mind while you choose your cereal portion. Now we come to the pulses portion. See, we can include all sort of pulses like chole, rajma, dal, tur dal, mung dal, masoor dal, etc. There is as such in pulses, there is no restriction. But if the patient is renal, surely there would be a restriction on pulses, so we should choose it accordingly. So most of the dals are okay for the patient. We can avoid rajma, chole and everything for them. Now we come to fruit part. Fruit may mostly, if the patient is on a normal diet, all sort of fruits are allowed. As such, there is no restriction on the food. If the patient has issue of sugar or something, sugar, then we should avoid banana. We should avoid mango, we should avoid chiku, we should avoid any sort of juices. And if the patient is with renal conditions, we should only eat apple, pear, guava, papaya. Next slide. Now we come to vegetable food group. So in vegetables, all sort of gourd vegetables are allowed: dudhi, turai, brinjal, cauliflower, cucumber with skin. These are again a rich source of fiber for the patients, and it will help to get them more of vitamins and minerals from the food. But if the patient is diabetic, they should avoid all the starchy vegetables like sweet potato, suran, arbi, raw banana, beetroot, carrots, etc. And if the patient has renal issues, they should avoid all the green leafy vegetables. And a leaching process is there, which is used to leach the potassium from the vegetables, should be used to before cooking the vegetables. Now we come to protein, like non-vegetarian proteins. So in non-vegetarian proteins, you can add chicken, fish. Fish is 2 thumb size pieces per day. Egg white or an egg as a whole is okay. But what should we avoid in non-veg is mutton, beef, red meat, as these are high in cholesterol. These are the rich in bad cholesterol. Can we change this slide, please? Now, if the person is vegetarian and cannot opt for a non-vegetarian protein, they can always opt for pulses and legumes, soya or tofu, a paneer. Paneer in any form is okay. Milk and milk products. Can we change the slide, please? This is very important as all the patients are on Syndopa. As Syndopa is also a protein building block, so this Syndopa competes for absorption with other proteins. So that's why it should be taken 30 minutes before or 60 minutes after the meal as per the prescription of your doctor. Also, the iron supplements, if you are taking any iron supplements, can decrease the absorption of Syndopa. So if you take those, so at least after 2 hours or before 2 hours of taking Syndopa, you can take your iron supplements. Can we change? These are the few list of supplements like omega-3, which is an anti-inflammatory. Again, a glutathione is an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Curcumin, this is found in our haldi that we call turmeric, which is very good antioxidant, antibacterial, antimicrobial. Again, a coenzyme Q10. It is one of the fast superfood that is very important. This will help in managing some of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. But any supplements you take, you should always take with the consent of the doctors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bhatt, for a very nice and well-covered topic on diet and nutrition, which is a very difficult topic, but you covered it very well, not only for Parkinson's patients, but you covered it for Parkinson's patients with other coexisting disease. And I'm sure a lot of people would have found it very useful and helpful to them. And as the questions come, you can see in the chat box and you can answer as they come.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jyoti. And we move on to the next part of the talk, and I will share my screen now. And we will start with a small introduction of how this has come up, what we are doing, and what it involves. So this webinar series has been brought to you jointly with the help of Parkinson Care Trust and Jaslok Hospital and Research Center, both located in Mumbai. Parkinson Care Trust has been conducting several Parkinson's-based, patients-based activities every year for last almost 8 to 10 years. This is one of the things that we regularly do in every April. And in this April also, on 10th of April, we would be having a free Parkinson's disease camp for all the patients of Parkinson's disease who wants to have a consultation. Each and every patient in the camp is seen properly by the consultant, either me or my colleagues, and they are attended as if they have got a private consultation. So this is one of the pictures of one of the camps. We also conduct regular, previously we used to conduct in-person webinars. You can see one of these webinars was there, wherein patients are sharing their experience. I am sharing about information about Parkinson's disease, and various other activities are conducted. So this patient education web seminars are also a part of our regular activity. The Parkinson Care Trust also offers financial assistance to Parkinson's disease patients undergoing surgical treatment or people who come up for pacemaker replacement after DBS. We have a future plans to create a strong network of Parkinson's disease patients so they can exchange ideas amongst themselves. We provide regular updates because Parkinson's disease is a very rapidly evolving medical science, and a lot of changes are happening. And I think there is no other way for the patients to keep abreast about medical and non-medical changes which are occurring in Parkinson's disease therapy. So that can be offered to the patients. Provide enhanced support and guidance to Parkinson's disease patients and caregivers. Caregivers in Parkinson's disease patients are equally important. And it is important that we address their concerns because we require the support of the caregivers as much as the patient requires the support. and regular newsletters and blog will keep you informed. So you are advised to take a snapshot of this and fill up your form if you are interested to be a part of this group and want regular information and updates and sharing of videos, because we regularly post very informative small videos which can change and improve the quality of life of the patients. So just take a picture with the help of your mobile phone and at your convenience, just log into this website and fill up the form. As I said, we are going to have the series of webinar. The next webinar is going to be on physiotherapy, speech therapy, meditation. I will urge you not to miss this. This is going to be a live webinar with patients performing in your presence to the request of the physiotherapy. So these are the things which you can do or which you may be able to practically use in your day-to-day life. Even meditation and speech therapy, we have got an excellent speech therapist who is going to help you understand as to how to improve your breathing and how to improve your speech, because this is one of the most difficult part of Parkinson's disease. So we'll try to address that. And obviously meditation is another form of therapy, and Dr. Aparna Budkar, she's a very well-trained physician in the field of meditation. She will also share with us her experience. And the last is going to be on, the second last is going to be on conquering Parkinson's disease. These are motivational speech. Again, you don't want to miss this, because these are talks actually coming from the heart of the patients themselves. So we have got Rebecca Gilbert, who is going to be talking about winning over Parkinson's disease. We have got several patients. These are patients of Parkinson's disease who have either undergone surgery or mastered the medical treatment, and they will share their experience. And the last talk is going to be on all the medical updates in the world that you would like to know about Parkinson's disease. So this is about, in a nutshell, about our future activity. Now I will go and to the second part of the talk, which is the main part, which is, as I said, I will be covering on the hobbies. So we will go on to this part. I'm going to talk on hobbies and Parkinson's disease. Ms. Karkera briefly shared her ideas on hobbies and Parkinson's disease. Let us understand what is a hobby, because that is the primary question. What do we mean by hobby? A hobby is considered to be a regular activity that is done for enjoyment, typically during one's leisure time, not professionally and not for pay. So this is something in a, if I want to call it very simply, is a pastime, but a regular pastime. You should be engaging yourself into this and getting pleasure out of that activity. And we will talk about what exactly constitutes a hobby. So this is basically the definition of hobby. Why hobbies? Because first of all, hobbies helps a person to grow. Second, it increases confidence. It gives person an identity. Because if I'm doing something creative, I'm doing something different, I'm doing something unique, it gives me the confidence, and it gives, with the confidence comes my identity. So that is something. It distresses yourself because it takes your mind off. This is something which is pleasurable. This is something that you like. This is something which is not by compulsion. It's not like, say, let's say I don't like exercise. And for me, exercise is a burden. So for me to do exercise, I have to push myself, I have to do that. But I like walking in a park, and that's my hobby. And that also becomes an exercise. But that exercise I will enjoy because it comes from my heart. It comes from within. So it distresses yourself. When you do something which you enjoy, it distresses yourself. It brings joy. As I said, it distresses, it brings joy because you like doing things. It disengages your attention because all the time when you have a disease, you are engaged in the disease. Oh, my hand is shaking. Oh, the hand is becoming a little stiff. Oh, my medicine is wearing off. Just now, I will need to take the next dose. When is the next dose? Let me take the next dose. All that anxiety is there. It removes that because you are busy doing something which you like. So once you start liking things, what you are doing, you forget your disease. And many patients have reported that, sir, when I am doing my hobby, I do not remember about the disease. Sometimes I forget my dose also. So that is something like that. That is what it means. And group hobbies increases social bonding. And we'll talk about it. So what are the hobbies? There was a question one gentleman asked, please talk about hobbies which a Parkinson's disease patient can do. Parkinson's disease patient can do many hobbies. Don't get misguided. Parkinson's disease patients can do many hobbies, And any patient who is suffering from Parkinson's disease can choose the hobby that he likes and develop that hobby also. One can develop it also. So art and painting, gardening. Slowly you can do gardening. You can cut the plants, you can water the plants, you can trim the plants, you can sit with the plants, you can enjoy the company of the plants. Playing video games. Suppose you are more mobile, that improves your motor function. Reading is also an hobby. I'm slightly more disabled, more advanced Parkinson's. Reading becomes my hobby. Dancing. I will explain you how dancing can be done, because there was also a question that if a patient cannot walk, how can he dance? Which is a natural question, but actually a Parkinson's disease patient can dance. And I will show you in a video how you can do that with a rhythm, with a music, with something coming back, a cue coming to you. Music and singing and playing cards. So these are all the hobbies that one can engage themselves into. Some of the hobbies you can do isolatedly alone. Some of the hobbies will require you to be engaged with people. Hobbies are as important as exercise for Parkinson's disease patient. So try to develop a hobby. Think about something that you like and develop it. Why is hobby important? Because a lot of people of Parkinson's disease, dopamine also drives your mood. Parkinson's disease occurs because lack of dopamine. Dopamine drives your mood. And because there is a lack of dopamine, you can also feel depressed. You also suffer from anxiety because you feel the off periods are coming and you become anxious. So anxiety and depression are part and parcel of Parkinson's disease. Don't think that you are the only one who has got that. As I said, almost 40% of patients may have it. It is other thing that they may not know about it. But knowing it is better than not knowing it, because once you know it, you can treat it. Music. The literature has shown that playing and listening to music may modulate emotions, behavior, movements, communication, and cognition. See how many factors of the brain functions that it changes. Emotion, behavior, movement, communication, and cognition by modifying the activity of the brain areas involved in the reception and regulation of this. And how does it do that? So this is the picture which explains you. Look at this picture. Music is perceived in these areas. This is called a supplementary motor area, which is in green. The yellow is a premotor cortex, and the light yellow is the beige color is the cerebellum. All these places are activated when you listen to music. And if you have to move, what happens? What are the areas that you need to be activated? These are the areas: primary motor cortex and cerebellum. So they are next to each other. They communicate, they talk. So music can bring more movement in your body, can improve your body movements and things like that. And I will show you how as a practical example. And I'm thankful for this video of this physiotherapist who had put it on the YouTube. I copied it from the YouTube, and it's such a useful video that you will enjoy. So music rhythm can improve gait, it can improve limb coordination, and it can improve postural control and balance. Let us see this video.
To kind of post a video letting everybody know about this cool little study I came across. It's actually been out for quite a while, but I didn't know about it, so I wanted to, let other therapists know. I've had great results with this guy. We're going to demonstrate walking with no music first, just to kind of show the gait pattern. He's got Parkinson's, and so usually, he's got the typical kind of shuffling gait pattern and difficulty with smooth gait cadence. Then I'll show a video with the music, and you'll see the difference. Okay.
So first he will walk without music, and then they will show you how the music helps him to move faster. I'm sure all Parkinson's disease patients can relate to this. Freezing. He cannot cross the door.
Gait training with music. Everybody's got cell phones. Everybody nowadays has music on their phone, so this is just kind of a real easy way to do it. We'll stand here for a minute. We'll get the rhythm. Once we feel it, then we'll take off.
He's getting the rhythm now. Actually, it has been given a name also. This is called neurologic music therapy, and it's the part and parcel of proper physiotherapy and occupational therapy in Parkinson, managing Parkinson disease patient. You could see how effectively he could change from a freezing of gait to independently walking by singing himself and walking to the tune. As I said, music has not only movement related improvement or impact, it has got mind and emotion related impact also. Emotional and relationship building exercise. Therapeutic engages in by singing, making music, rhythmical instruments, and when you do it in a group, you can have a therapist who can engage you in making all these things. It facilitates patients' expression and modulation of emotions, and this provides strong stimulus to limbic circuit and reward systems, which are closely linked with Parkinson's disease and improvement of that. Thus, music therapy can offer an all-around benefit from improving the motor function to enhancing emotional and psychological connect and reducing the depression and anxiety. So this is one kind of way you can engage in a hobby. The other hobby is an art. Art can encourage a previously hidden creative streak. All of us have some hidden creative streak. And art doesn't mean always painting. Art can be any form. You can have an art of paper cutting. You can have art of writing. You can have an art of knitting, anything. All these are different forms of art. So that can be done. The creative process is therapeutic and liberating. Self-expression can also help depression and can rekindle motivation in other aspects of life. Art therapy seems to help by working on the subconscious level and reducing stress and releasing frustration while stimulating the imagination and promoting a sense of inner peace. As I said, painting, drawing, writing, all are different forms of art. Group therapies can be taken so that you can be motivated by others. Looking at art, if you cannot come up with doing art on your own, going to art gallery, looking at the art, visualizing art can also be good. Even sharing pictures is a form of art. Collecting stamps is a form of art. So anything can be a hobby and an art. The third hobby that I would like to talk about is again dance movement therapy. Dance movement therapy uses movement of dance to engage creatively in a process which enhances emotional, cognitive, physical, and social well-being. Dance is not only a physical movement, it is also connected with mind. It improves your emotions, it improves your mood. It is based on the principle that movement reflects a person's feelings, as I said just now, and patterns of thinking, and can be used to explore and express emotional and creative experiences. A rhythmic and repetitive movements of dance can help with motor symptoms such as bradykinesia. Bradykinesia means slowness of movement, start hesitation, and freezing. By providing a model for a movement, making you think about how to move before you actually do so. So once you start getting engaged in dance, you can use that activity in your day-to-day activity to help you walk better and move around better. It can also help to train your mind, as I said just now, and initiate a complete sequence of patterns of movement. In time and with practice, this becomes easier, and so confidence builds, and which can be very helpful in everyday activities, such as maintaining steady pace in a crowded street. So if you are taking a dance therapy, slowly, that becomes your habit, and that habit can be used to use in your day-to-day activity and help you. Dance improves balance and posture. Any form of dance is helpful. It has been seen by medical research. There have been research conducted on dance and Parkinson's disease patients, and they found that tango can improve ability to move at different speeds, forwards and backwards. Tango is a Spanish form of dance, while waltz can train you to take big steps and hold a good tall posture. So this helps in posture building and taking good steps. Other hobbies can include creative writing, novel, blog, etc., engaging on social media, social work, engaging with PD association. If you don't want anything, you can get associated with PD association and contribute to that and help people connect each other. Cooking is also an hobby. Make an attempt to perform activity during on periods. Prepare a schedule and stick to it. Engage in activities with group or with friends. If you're finding doing it alone, you use groups or friends which may further help you to move forward faster. Set up your own milestones and reward yourself once you achieve that, because everything is based on milestone. Don't take the hobbies lightly. Set up your own milestones. So today I will reach here. 1 week later I will do this. 2 weeks later I will reach here. With that, I think we should be ending up the talk. And once again, I'm inviting you to join the Parkinson Care Trust group so that you can be continuously updated. Even you can see the videos again and play this again, all this presentation and at your leisure, and review it for information that you want. Thank you. I'll stop sharing the screen and we can take some questions that we have seen here and answer them. Okay, does wasting of muscle occur in Parkinson disease? Yes, wasting of muscles do occur in Parkinson disease patients because of the lack of nutrition and lack of use. But if you continue to do regular exercises, your wasting of muscle can be limited. Is Parkinson disease hereditary? In a very small percentage of patients, it can be hereditary, but otherwise, most of the patients are what we call idiopathic Parkinson disease. What does speech therapy actually mean? You would wait for the next talk and we would have Dr. Sahnaz explaining you exactly what would speech therapy mean. It is a therapy to help you enhance your voice, because these patients of Parkinson disease have difficulty in articulating many times as the disease progresses, and voice becomes soft or difficult to understand, and there will be several therapies to show you how to improve that. My grandpa is suffering from migraine. He tries a lot but can't walk due to bend in his he would need to be investigated and examined. It could be because an elderly patient can have knee problems also. He can have spine problems also. So why is he not able to walk? He may not be able to walk because if he is not treated properly. So there are various factors. So it is all nothing. We cannot attribute everything to Parkinson disease. An elderly patient, we need to confirm all these things and decide why is he not able to walk, and also give you an idea whether he will be able to walk or not. I think you can go to your movement disorder specialist or Parkinson disease specialist and take his advice. What is the reason of having PD? We don't know. I answered there is some hereditary connections in a very small percentage of cases. What are the starting symptoms of Parkinson disease? The most common symptoms are tremors, but then changing handwriting, slowness in activities of daily living, one side becoming more slow than the other. These are the important symptoms that you find. There was no sound for last 10 minutes. Is that correct, Bhavesh bhai?
No, there has been proper sound.
Okay. So there must be a problem with that gentleman. Yeah. There are limited medications. Is this correct? No, there are now a lot of medicines available. And I don't think Parkinson disease patients should be worried. It is like your diabetes or hypertension. You cannot get rid of it, but you can live a good quality of life with. I am also diabetic and is on insulin, 16 milligram. Okay, so we cannot talk about individual cases. We'll have to continue talking nice and informative about the effect of hobbies. Does it apply to PSP patients? Yes, Mr. Vidur, it can be engaged. You can engage for everything. Is a weight loss a normal symptom? Is weight loss in any way linked to nutrition and diet? Yes, weight loss is linked to nutrition and diet, definitely, because Parkinson disease patient nutrition does suffer because of severe constipation. They cannot take adequate food. Sometimes they get nausea, vomiting because of the medications and various things. So that is all interconnected. But one needs to check. Weight loss can also occur in patients of Parkinson disease with a moderately advanced disease when they start suffering involuntary movement called dyskinesias, and that also causes a lot of exercise or fat burning, and that can do that. What are the main symptoms of when you can say it is confirmed to be PD? It is a difficult diagnosis, Mr. Shah, that one has to take a clinical pattern and a spectrum of various symptoms and put together before you can confirm. Do all Parkinson patients fall? Usually not if they are very well managed, but if their management is not adequate, then yes, they may fall. And again, there is a question mark on the diagnosis. Parkinson disease patients usually do not present with too many falls. Occasional falls are okay. How to deal with a deaf patient? Again, it's difficult to individually answer questions and patients' problem. So we will have to take it at a personal level. You may connect with your physician to understand that. Can close the mouth in off period? Any suggestions to improve? Sometimes you can use botulinum toxin injections to help you, but this is a common problem. Patients keep their mouth open and take breath through the mouth, and only continuous coaxing and making them understand will help. Medicine of lifetime, there is nothing like that, but levodopa is the medicine of lifetime. I consider that as a petrol to the car. If you want your car to run, you have to put the petrol till we get an electric car, and this electric car work also doesn't work independently. It requires petrol. So electric car, deep brain stimulation surgery is akin to the electric car, and petrol is like levodopa. My husband that takes Indopa plus 3 times a day will be harmful after a long time. Yes, there might be a problem with long-term Indopa medication, but there is no other alternative. So we have to take it. So we are not taking it by pleasure. Medications can cause long-term side effects, but one has to take it because, as I said, it's a petrol to your car. So if you do not take levodopa, your body will not run. So if your body has to function today, you have to take the medicines. In future, if you get side effects, there are now new medications, surgical treatment, many things available to control that. No, idiopathic Parkinson disease and Parkinson disease are both same. How to manage falls? Take a session on this. Thank you. Yeah, we will take a session on this separately and see what we can come up with. Okay. What is off period? Off period is the period where the medications wears off. When the patient of Parkinson disease takes a medication, he gets an instantaneous power in his body. Energy comes into the body, and then the energy goes away when the medicine wears off. So that is what is called off period, when the effect of the medicine wears off. We'll talk about the medication side effects and effect later because we are going to have a proper talk on medicines. So let us discuss medicine side effects and everything in that time. Early symptoms of PD, I already answered. If patients gets better with physiotherapy and medication, his or her Syndopa, does it reduce or can be stopped? It can be reduced, but you cannot stop the Syndopa because it's a part of your day-to-day life. Can rigidity reduce in PD? Yes, with proper medication, physiotherapy, and proper management of your day-to-day disease, yes, rigidity can significantly be reduced. Okay, we don't know how the sickness start. I've already answered. I think we have answered most of the question. We thank all the participants for being with us for all this long time. And it has been a good session. We had a very good audience. The event has also been streamed on Facebook Live. And I would like to thank Ms. Bharti Karkera and Ms. Jyoti Bhatt, both for spending their time for this patient-based initiative. And also would like to thank Mediconsult for Chogle Mediconsult for supporting the event, and Jaslok Hospital and Parkinson Care Trust as well. Thank you. We will end the webinar. Yeah. The next webinar, as I said, is 7:15 p.m. on 20th March. Please log in at time, and we will share some very interesting facts and things with you. Yeah. Thank you.